Alright, we're going to go over how to do linear regression using Excel, and we're going to go through and show you two ways of doing it. One way if you have the data analysis tool pack, and one way if you do not have the data analysis tool pack. And we're going to start with the tool pack since it's the easier way of doing it. So we go to the Data tab, click Data Analysis, and from our analysis tools we're going to go and select Regression Analysis. And remember, we have a y and an x range. Our x is always going to be our independent variable. And in this analysis, the size of our tree, the dBH, that's our independent variable. So we'll select those. Our y is then our dependent variable, %cover. I've highlighted my column labels, so I make sure to click that. And then output range, I'm going to put my answer right here and hit OK. And it spits out this. Remember that we are only interested in a few pieces of information out of this. So if we look at what's important here, our test statistic, our R squared value, that's the one that we want out of the R's. And so that value is what you would report as your test statistic. And remember, this is how much of the variation in our data is being explained between dBH and north cover. We also need our degrees of freedom, and to get our degrees of freedom, it is the number of observations minus 1. In this case, we've got 8 observations, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? We got 8 trees, so n minus 1, we would have 7 degrees of freedom. The other important piece of information from this is the significance f. And remember that the significance f is the equivalent of the p-value. So if significance f is less than 0.05, then we can say there is a significant relationship between dBH and %cover. So there you go. That's all you need to do in order to get the values that you need out of regression analysis if you have the data pack. If not, things are a little bit more complicated, and we're going to have to use a series of function value or function settings and type in the equations for them. So to start with, we need to get our basic regression information. So I've selected a cell here, and I'm going to type in the function equals line st, open parentheses. And you can see that it gives me a set of values that I have to put in. So we start with our values of y, and our values of y, we're just going to highlight those, comma, space, add our values of x. So our values of x, comma, space. Then it asks for a constant and something for your stats. Just type in 1, comma, space, 1, close parentheses, and hit enter. So this gives you one value. However, that analysis actually returns 10 different statistical values. We just can't see them yet. So in order to be able to see them, what we need to do is click on that value and then highlight a matrix of boxes. We need to go down till we have 5 selected and then over until we have 2. So I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 2. After you do that, you hit function key 2, so the F2 key. Hit that and you'll notice we get a change. After you hit that, then you hold down the control key. While holding control, hit shift, and while holding control and shift, hit enter. And you'll notice we get a series of numbers on here. From this series of numbers, we're interested in 2. If we look in the first column and go down to the third value, that gives us our R square value. So that's the same, as you notice, as our R square value over here. We then need other things. Now, we don't have a significance f. You'll notice that that value doesn't show up in here anywhere. And so what we're going to need to do is find our significance f. In order to do that, we use 2 other pieces of information from this output. And those 2 are the 4th line down, these 2 here. And these 2 are what we're going to use to calculate our significance f. You'll notice that this value here is our value of f. So this is a value that we can use for calculating significance f. That value there is our degrees of freedom for the overall analysis. And so to get our significance f, that's the value we need, we type in another function, equals f dist, open parenthesis, and then we type in our f value. So remember, our f is this value right here. So you can just click it like that. I'm going to actually manually enter it in. So 0.026458. So that's my f value. And then it's going to ask for two different values for degrees of freedom. For the first one, enter 1. For the second one, you enter the value up here. It's basically our number of samples minus 2. So that's 6, close parentheses, and hit enter. That will return my significance f. So if you look over here, I have significance f, and that's the same value. So what we have done is, without using the tool pack, we have our r squared value, we have our significance f value, and then we know our number of samples, and so that can give us our degrees of freedom for the regression analysis.